Chosen one. Stop and pay attention. Do you truly realize what happens when people look at you? Their eyes may not grasp it. Their tongues cannot describe it. Yet their spirit trembles in recognition. You are not ordinary. You are marked. Your very presence unsettles the air like thunder before a storm. When you step into a room, conversations falter for a heartbeat. Some smile without knowing why. Others feel an invisible pressure they cannot explain. You don't need to announce yourself. The atmosphere already does it for you. They are not only looking at your face, they are sensing the anointing that rests upon you. Think of yourself as a sealed letter from heaven. People don't know the content, but they know the weight, the importance. They sense it before they even attempt to read you. That is why some are drawn to you, and others retreat. To them, you are a living paradox, approachable yet untouchable, familiar yet eternal. I remember a chosen one I once knew. She lived in a long season of obscurity, hidden from applause, hidden from recognition, but everywhere she went, people whispered, "There's something about her." She never tried to shine, but the oil of heaven on her life made her visible. Perhaps you know that same feeling when others' eyes find you, even when you would rather remain unnoticed. It is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 27. The spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of his being. That is why they stare. They are not merely seeing your outward appearance. They are confronted by the lamp of God burning within you. You are like a candle in a cavern. Darkness hates you, but wanderers find their way by your light. Some will thank you. Others will avoid you, but none can deny the glow. At times, their reaction will come as admiration. They see hope when they look at you. At other times, resistance. They feel exposed in the mirror of your presence. Both are confirmations that you are carrying heaven's imprint. So, do not despise the eyes fixed upon you. Do not shrink back when whispers trail behind you. They are not gazing at just you. They are catching a glimpse of God's handiwork. Chosen one. If this word touches your spirit, declare it openly. Comment the number 77 below as a sign that you recognize the light God placed within you. And if this message stirred something inside, I encourage you, like, share, and subscribe so that other chosen ones can awaken to the truth of what they carry. Because when they look at you, they don't just see a human face. They see purpose. They see calling. They see the lamp of the Lord burning inside you. And it cannot be hidden. And here is the deeper truth when they see you. They are not only witnessing what God has done, but also what He is about to do. They catch a glimpse of tomorrow's victories written across your countenance. They may not comprehend it, but they feel it in their spirit. That is why you must keep walking, keep shining, keep standing firm, because the eyes fixed on you today are preparing to testify of God's glory revealed through you tomorrow. There is a mystery that rests upon you, a mark that no human hand could ever draw. It is not visible in the way clothes fit, or in the expression you wear. Yet when others look at you, they sense it instinctively, the invisible seal of God that sets you apart. You may not feel it every day. Sometimes, in seasons of weakness, you question whether there is anything different about you at all. But others, even strangers, perceive it. They may not call it a seal. They may say, "There's something about you. or you carry a strange peace, or even, I can't explain why, but I feel different around you. What they are really noticing is the imprint of heaven's ownership stamped upon your soul. This seal does not come cheaply. It was pressed upon you through battles, through nights of tears, through moments where surrender was your only choice, like wax melted by fire and then marked by the signet of a king. Your trials softened you so the hand of God could leave his imprint. That is why, when they see you, they sense weight without understanding the story behind it. Consider the life of David before he was crowned king. He was anointed while still a shepherd boy, carrying no throne, no scepter, no army. Yet even Saul, the sitting king, sensed the mark on him and grew restless in his presence. The crown was not visible, but the seal was. It disturbed some, but it also confirmed that God's hand was on him. You too carry that paradox, chosen but not always celebrated, marked yet misunderstood. You are like a tree in the middle of a desert, growing strong where others expect only dryness. People cannot understand how you remain rooted and alive in barren places, but your roots go deeper than their eyes can see, drinking from living water that is not of this earth. And when they pass by, they know this tree is not ordinary. This tree is touched by something eternal. The ancient words recorded in the second letter to the Corinthians still echo today. Now it is God who makes us stand firm in Christ. He anointed us, set his seal and spirit. That seal is why you are never fully lost, never fully forsaken. Even when everything else shakes around you, some will try to imitate it. They will borrow words, mimic mannerisms, even attempt to replicate your path. But a seal cannot be counterfeited. A seal is proof of authenticity. It carries authority that does not come from effort, but from divine decree. This is why doors open for you that remain shut for others, not because you strive harder, but because the seal makes you recognizable in the spirit realm. Angels know it, demons tremble at it, and people, whether they acknowledge God or not, feel its weight when they look at you. Do not despise the seal. Do not envy those who seem to move freely without it. For what rests upon you is priceless. It may draw opposition, yes, but it also secures your destiny. The mark on your life is not meant to make sense to the world. It is meant to remind you and them that you are claimed, chosen, and set apart. When they look at you, they are glimpsing that unseen inscription. This one belongs to the Lord, and that truth cannot be erased. There is a tension that follows you. Chosen one. You may not always notice it, but others feel it as soon as you walk in. Your very presence unsettles people, not because you have wronged them, but because your spirit carries a gravity they cannot ignore. Some are warmed by it. Others are unsettled, even irritated. This is the mystery of unspoken intimidation. You do not have to raise your voice for people to sense your authority. You do not have to argue for truth to be felt in the room. Even your silence can weigh heavier than another's shouting. Why? Because the mark on you disrupts comfort zones. To those hiding in shadows, your very light feels like exposure. Imagine walking into a hall where everyone wears masks. Your face alone is uncovered. Suddenly, those who had been blending in feel naked in their disguise. That is what happens when people look at you. They are reminded that truth exists. That light still shines. that compromise is not universal. And in that moment, some admire you, but others resist you, because you represent what they secretly wish to avoid. I remember meeting someone years ago, a young man who was quiet, almost shy, yet every time he entered the room, others adjusted themselves. Some straightened their backs, others hushed their laughter. No one could explain why. It wasn't his words, it was the atmosphere he carried. Later, he confessed that most of his life, he had been misunderstood. Teachers said he was intimidating. Friends said he was too intense. But he wasn't trying to be anything. He was simply carrying the weight of being chosen. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, and his words still breathe life. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. That is why some people tremble in your presence without knowing why. It is not about you being threatening. It is about them recognizing that you carry a destiny that cannot be ignored. Your very eyes hold a reflection they are not ready to face. Your walk carries a rhythm that does not match the world around you. Your silence often speaks louder than their chatter. This is why you are misjudged, labeled as cold, distant, or arrogant. But what they interpret as arrogance is often simply the weight of divine presence upon your shoulders. You are like a lion walking calmly through a meadow. The sheep scatter, not because the lion roars, but because of what the lion represents. That is the effect you have on some hearts, and it is not your fault. You were never meant to blend in with the herd. So when others avoid you, do not shrink. When others whisper, do not bend. Your very existence is a signpost, pointing beyond yourself to the one who called you. They do not fear you, they fear what is reflected through you. Now pause. Chosen one. If this word resonates with the battles you've faced, the stares, the misunderstandings, the false accusations, leave a comment that says, I stand firm. Write it not as empty words, but as a declaration that you will not bow to mislabeling, nor apologize for the weight of glory on your life. Your agreement in that comment is your act of courage, showing heaven and earth that you refuse to dim your light to soothe another's insecurity. Because when people see you, even in silence, they see a glimpse of the one who appointed you, and that glimpse is enough to shake their spirit. There is a strange paradox that surrounds you. People are often drawn to you and pushed away at the very same time. They cannot explain why they want to be close to you, yet something within them resists when they approach. You, chosen one, live in that tension of attraction and conflict. It is not your beauty. Though many may find you striking, it is not your words. Though they often carry unusual weight, it is the spirit within you, the fragrance of heaven upon your life, that causes this dual reaction. To some, you are like the warmth of a fire on a cold night, irresistible and life-giving. To others, that same fire feels dangerous, reminding them that comfort and compromise must be burned away in your presence. This is why friendships around you are often unusual. Some people want to be near you, but cannot stay long. Others admire you from afar, but never have the courage to truly walk beside you. The paradox of your life is that people crave what you carry, yet their own hearts are not always ready to receive it. Imagine a magnet lying on a table. Certain metals are pulled to it instantly, while others resist its pull. The magnet itself does not change. It simply reveals what is compatible and what is not. That is the role you play in the lives of others. You reveal where their spirit stands. Some are pulled in, others turn away. Think about Jesus during his walk on earth. Crowds followed him relentlessly, pressing in to touch the hem of his garment. And yet, the same crowds turned on him, crying out for his crucifixion. The attraction and the resistance existed side by side. The light of heaven has always carried this paradox. You too walk in this reality, because you are his chosen. There was once a young woman, set apart. Since childhood, people loved her energy, her kindness, her peace. But often those very same people later distanced themselves, saying, "You make me feel like I need to change." She never preached at them, never condemned them. She simply carried an atmosphere that confronted what they preferred to ignore. Over time she realized this wasn't rejection, it was revelation. Their struggle was not with her, but with what her presence awakened inside them. According to what is revealed in the book of Hosea, chapter 11, verse 4, "I led them with cords of human kindness, with ties of love. To them I was like one who lifts a little child to the cheek, and I bent down to feed them." That is the same unseen cord many feel when they are around you. They sense a pull of love, yet it unsettles them because it demands they let go of their chains. This is why your relationships may not always be smooth. Some friendships end abruptly without explanation. Some people admire you in silence, unwilling to confess the conflict they feel. But remember this, the paradox of attraction and resistance is not rejection of who you are, it is confirmation of what you carry. You are the sound of a trumpet in a quiet valley. Some will rise to march when they hear you. Others will cover their ears and retreat. But both reactions prove that you cannot be ignored. So walk confidently in the paradox. Do not be offended when others are torn in their response to you. Their conflict is not about your worth. It is about their readiness. You are a living reminder of the love that draws and the fire that purifies. And whether they embrace it or resist it, they cannot remain unchanged after encountering you. When people look at you, something unexpected takes place. Your presence acts like a mirror, not the kind that flatters, but the kind that reveals without you speaking. Your light uncovers what others try to keep hidden. It is not because you are judgmental, but because light always reveals what darkness prefers to cover. This is why some avoid your gaze. It feels safer for them to remain unseen than to let the reflection of their own soul confront them. And yet, others are strangely grateful. In your presence, they discover both their shadows and their possibilities. They see not only what is broken, but also what can be redeemed. Your life becomes a holy contradiction. You expose and you heal. You unsettle and you inspire. That is why your relationships are rarely casual, like the sun rising over a field. You cause hidden things to emerge, some weeds, but also blooming flowers that would never have grown without your warmth. There was once a man who lived most of his life in bitterness. People described him as unreachable, set in his ways. But when he began working alongside a chosen one, something shifted. He softened, questioned his cynicism, and felt hope again. He could not explain it, only that when he looked at this person, he saw both the weight of what he lacked and the glimpse of who he could become. That is the effect you carry. You are a walking reminder of God's original design. Some look at you and see what they've lost. Others look at you and see what they can still find. Either way, No one leaves unchanged. As Jesus declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." Your light does not only shine outward, it reflects inward, forcing others to see themselves through its glow. Yet, this reflection is not cruel. You do not expose to humiliate. You expose so that healing can begin. Like a doctor revealing an X-ray, the image may be uncomfortable, but it is the first step toward restoration. That is why, despite resistance, people cannot fully stay away from you. You are like a lantern carried through a forest at night. Some fear what the light may reveal in the shadows, but others walk closer, grateful that the path ahead becomes visible. So what does this mean for you? It means your very existence is an invitation. You don't have to pressure people. You don't have to persuade them. Your life itself says, there is more. There is truth. There is hope. I rainbow. And here is where the choice lies, not only for them, but also for you. Will you continue to carry your light boldly, even when it unsettles others? If your spirit whispers, yes, let this moment become a symbolic act, just as a traveler, seeing a fire on a cold night, chooses to walk toward it for warmth. So too you can choose to walk deeper into your calling. Share this message as if you were passing the torch to another wanderer. Subscribe as though you were saying, I choose to remain in the circle of light. Like it not as a mere click, but as if you were lighting another candle from your flame, because in the end, the choice is never forced. It is a beautiful decision, a voluntary surrender to the light you already carry. And in making that choice, you remind heaven and earth that no darkness can extinguish what God has set ablaze in you. There is something powerful about the way you reveal truth to others. When they look at you, they don't just see a person, they see themselves reflected back in ways they weren't prepared for. This is the mirror effect. It is the reason some grow quiet in your presence. The reason others suddenly start confessing things they never meant to share. Without asking, you pull hidden truths out into the open. You do not do this through force. You do it simply by being who you are. Your spirit acts like a window washed clean, so clear that others glimpse their own condition when they come near you. Some find peace in this, while others feel discomfort. But both reactions are proof that you are walking in your calling. Think of a still lake in the morning. When someone bends down to look into it, they don't just see water, they see their reflection. If the water is clear, the image is undeniable. In the same way, your clarity reveals to people what they carry inside. This is why your presence often feels like truth pressing against their soul. I once knew a chosen one who lived through a long season of waiting. She worked faithfully in quiet places, unnoticed by many. Yet wherever she went, people would say, "You remind me of who I could be." She never tried to inspire anyone. It was simply her reflection that awakened dreams in others. Over time, she realized her waiting season was not wasted. It was polishing the mirror of her soul so others could see God's image when they looked at her. The apostle reminds us in his letter to James, chapter 1, verse 23, "Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror." That is what happens when people encounter you. Their hearts feel the weight of that scripture. You remind them of the mirror of God's word. Sometimes the reflection you bring is uncomfortable. Some will try to run from it. They may even blame you, labeling you as too intense or too different. But the truth is, their struggle is not with you, it is with what your presence revealed inside them. Do not despise this. Do not wish it away. For the very gift that unsettles some is the same gift that will heal others. People are looking for someone who helps them see clearly, and that someone, often unknowingly, is you, chosen one. If these words resonate with you, if you have ever felt like your presence alone drew out hidden truths in others, mark this moment. Comment the number 444 below as a declaration that you recognize this mirror anointing on your life. Write it not as a ritual, but as a prophetic agreement that you will not hide the reflection God has entrusted you to carry, because when they look at you, they see more than a face. They see a mirror of heaven's truth, and though they may resist it, they cannot forget it. And this reflection is not small. It lingers. It follows them long after you've left the room. They replay words you never spoke. Yet your life spoke louder than speech. You are not just a mirror, you are a reminder. A reminder that they, too, were made in God's image. A reminder that their story is not over. That is why you must keep shining. For every heart unsettled by your presence, there is another awakened to life because of it. And that balance is the beauty of your calling. There is a mystery that often troubles the people who observe your life. They watch the way doors open for you, and they cannot explain it. They see favor resting on you in moments where others would be forgotten. This is the mark of unnatural favor. It is not earned by effort alone. It is not the result of manipulation or chance. It is the evidence of God's hand tipping the scales in your direction. This is why you often face two reactions, celebration from some and jealousy from others. To one group, your life is a testimony of hope. If God can do it for you, perhaps He can do it for them. But to another group, your blessings feel like an insult to their struggles. They cannot reconcile why, after all you have been through, you still rise. And so, they begin to envy. You must understand, chosen one, that this favor is not about possessions or titles. It is about alignment. God positions you in places you did not even plan to stand. He allows your name to be spoken in rooms where your feet have not yet entered. He causes people who do not even know you to extend kindness on your behalf. These moments are not coincidence, they are orchestration. I recall the story of a man who had been overlooked for years in his workplace. He was faithful, diligent, but invisible. Then, in a single season, he was elevated to a role that others had been fighting for. His co-workers whispered, "How did he get there?" But what they could not see was the unseen hand of God arranging the shift. This is the nature of favor. It does not follow human timelines. It follows divine appointment. According to what is revealed in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 12, the Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of His bounty, to send rain on your land in season, and to bless all the work of your hands. That is the promise attached to your life. It explains why. In seasons where others labor without fruit, your efforts seem to multiply. Unnatural favor is not about skipping hardship. You have faced valleys that most would not survive. But the difference is this: your valleys have become gardens. Where others saw drought, streams appeared for you. Where others were buried in defeat, you rose, carrying lessons that became treasures. Favor is not the absence of trials, it is the ability to carry triumph through them. Imagine a traveler crossing a desert. For most, the sun is scorching, the journey unbearable. Yet for you, clouds move to cover at just the right time, and an oasis appears when your strength is nearly gone. That is how favor works. It interrupts the natural order to sustain the chosen. Do not be surprised. Then, when others question your rise, do not be shaken when envy surfaces in the eyes of those around you. Their response is not proof that you are unworthy. It is proof that God has set you apart. The favor on your life is visible even to those who deny its source. Carry it with humility, but carry it boldly. For this favor is not only for you, it is also for those who will be touched by your journey. Every blessing becomes a testimony, every breakthrough a signpost, every victory a reminder that God still lifts his chosen ones in ways the world cannot explain. There is a kind of weight you carry without needing to speak a word. People notice it before they realize why. You can sit quietly in a room, and somehow the atmosphere bends toward you. This is what I call silent authority. It is not the kind of authority earned through a title, a position, or a loud command. It is the kind of authority that flows from alignment with heaven. You may have experienced it before, moments when people naturally look to you for direction, even when you were not the most experienced, the most trained, or the most confident outwardly. Something about your presence steadied them. Without announcing it, you carried an unspoken leadership. Silent authority is built in hidden places. It is born when you learn to listen more than you speak. When you carry wisdom gathered in valleys of trial. When you choose obedience in seasons no one else sees. This kind of authority cannot be faked, because it carries the fragrance of authenticity. People sense it before they even hear your words. Think of Moses before the Red Sea. His staff was simple wood. His voice stammered with weakness. But when he stood before the people, they followed, not because he was eloquent, not because he shouted louder than the rest, but because heaven had clothed him with authority. The waves obeyed, not his volume, but his alignment. You are like that. Chosen one. You don't always realize it. But your quietness is not emptiness, it is gravity. People gather around you because something within them feels safer when you are near. Even those who may not like you cannot deny it. They differ in small ways. They adjust their tone. They hesitate before they challenge you. This is not intimidation in the human sense. This is heaven's mark of stewardship. There was once a young woman who always thought of herself as invisible. She rarely spoke in groups, often staying in the background. Yet, during a crisis at work, everyone instinctively turned to her for a decision. Later, she asked a colleague why, and he replied, "Because you carry calm when the rest of us panic." That is silent authority, the power of presence shaped by endurance. The ancient words recorded in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9 still echo with truth. "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." That is the anchor of your authority, not fear, not volume, but the steady companionship of God with you. Silent authority feels like a mountain. Mountains don't move quickly. They don't make noise. But their very presence commands respect. Travelers adjust their routes because of them. Winds break against them, and still they stand. Immovable. Undeniable. So too is your presence. Some will resent it, wondering why they feel small in your shadow. Others will find peace, grateful to rest under your strength. Both are responses to the same truth. Your authority does not come from you, it comes from the one who walks with you. Do not diminish it. Do not try to apologize for it. Silent authority is a gift meant to anchor storms and to steady trembling hearts. When people look at you and feel compelled to listen, it is not coincidence. It is God's way of showing that He has trusted you with more than words. He has trusted you with weight. Misunderstanding is a garment you have worn often. People see you, but they do not always recognize you. They assign labels to you: too strange, too serious, too distant, because they cannot explain the depth they sense within you. This is the life of the chosen, being known by heaven but misnamed by earth. From a distance, they admire you. Up close, they wrestle with confusion. They might whisper, "Who does she think she is?" Or, "Why is he different from the rest?" Their eyes search for categories to place you in, but none of their boxes can contain your spirit. And so they mislabel what they cannot understand. This has always been the story of those set apart. Think of Joseph, misunderstood by his brothers, accused of arrogance when he shared his dreams, or of Hannah, mistaken for being drunk as she prayed silently in the temple, or of Jesus himself, accused of blasphemy when he walked in the fullness of his Father. To carry heaven's depth is to be misread by shallow eyes. You are like a book written in a language not everyone has learned. Some glance at the pages and assume they know the story, but they cannot read the words. They misjudge the meaning, not because the book is wrong, but because their understanding is limited. I once knew a man who always carried wisdom beyond his years. People called him aloof, even cold. In truth, he was simply careful with his words. Years later, those same people returned to seek his counsel when storms came. What they once misjudged as distance, they now recognized as discernment. And he realized something crucial. Misunderstanding is not rejection, it is often delayed recognition. The voice of God thundered in the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 9, "As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways and thoughts." That is why they cannot always grasp you. What you carry is higher, deeper, otherworldly. It will not always make sense to them, because it was never meant to. This is why you must learn to live with being misnamed. Their misunderstanding does not diminish your identity. Their labels do not rewrite your story. When they call you arrogant, God calls you anointed. When they call you strange, heaven calls you chosen. When they call you distant, the Spirit calls you set apart. And here is your task. Resist the urge to prove yourself. Do not waste energy trying to correct every misjudgment. Time and fruit will reveal what words cannot. The very ones who misread you now may one day testify of your authenticity. Chosen one. Let this truth settle deep in you. Being misunderstood is not a curse. It is confirmation. You are carrying mysteries too heavy for shallow interpretations. If this resonates with your journey, declare it boldly in the comments. Chosen beyond labels. Write it as your reminder that no name others place on you can override the name God has already spoken. Their misunderstanding is temporary, but your calling is eternal. Because when people look at you, their eyes may misjudge, but their spirits cannot deny. There is something about you that defies ordinary explanation. And remember, this mystery is not weakness. It is strength. The very fact that they cannot define you means you are walking in a reality greater than their understanding. Stay steady, for heaven's recognition is far louder than earth's confusion. There is something that cannot be hidden from the unseen realm. You may walk quietly among people, unnoticed by some, but in the world of the Spirit, you are impossible to miss. Darkness recognizes you instantly. You are marked as a threat, because you carry what hell cannot counterfeit, the presence of the living God. This is why you face strange opposition at times. Not every battle you encounter comes from people. Some are stirred by unseen forces that recognize who you are even when others do not. Just as the demon-possessed man in the Gospels cried out, "What do you want with us?" Jesus, Son of the Most High God, before the crowd even understood who he was. So too the unseen world knows your name. Think of yourself as a flame in the middle of a pitch-black cave. To human eyes, the fire may look small, but to creatures of the dark, even the smallest flame is unbearable. They scatter, resist, or attack, not because of the size of the fire, but because of its nature. That is what happens when you walk into places where hidden darkness has grown comfortable. Sometimes this is why people oppose you without reason. Their accusations may feel baseless, yet behind them lies a stirring they cannot explain. What they are reacting to is not just you, it is the radiance within you that disrupts the shadows around them. I once knew a woman who wondered why she was disliked in certain places. She tried to be kind. She spoke gently, yet hostility followed her. Later, she realized it was never about her personality, it was the light she carried. She was walking proof that even in silence, heaven testifies against darkness. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of darkness, spiritual forces above." That is why your battles feel different. They are not only about what you can see, but about what recognizes you beyond the veil. Imagine a lighthouse standing at the edge of the sea. Ships look to it for guidance, but smugglers hiding in the night resent its beam. To one group, it is salvation. To another, it is interference. And yet the lighthouse does not choose sides. It simply shines. That is your calling too. This reality explains why the enemy fights you so hard. But it also explains why heaven defends you so fiercely. You are not abandoned in these battles. You are backed by angels, strengthened by the Spirit, and covered by the blood of Christ. Darkness may recognize you, but heaven has already claimed you. Now, chosen one, let me tell you something important. When you choose to keep shining under pressure, you declare to both earth and the unseen that you belong to God. Every act of faith, every step of obedience, is like oil poured onto your flame, making it brighter. If these words stir your spirit, then take a step that reflects your agreement. Like this message, as if you were placing another stone on the altar of your calling. Share it as though you were passing light into another weary traveler's hands. Subscribe not as a habit, but as if you were saying, "I choose to stay under the covering of this fire." Oh, don't, because when darkness looks at you, it already knows. You are not ordinary. You are a burning lamp, a lighthouse, a torch in the night. And no matter what rises against you, your flame cannot be silenced. There is something unexplainable about the way you endure. Others see you stumble, yet you rise again, They watch storms strike your life, expecting you to collapse. But instead you emerge carrying a strength they cannot comprehend. This is what I call the weight of glory. It is not the absence of pain that makes people notice you. It is the way you walk through pain and somehow come out radiant. Every scar you carry has become a testimony. Every tear you shed has watered seeds of resilience. And though you may not always feel strong, those who look at you see a strength that humbles them. Think of a tree standing in the middle of a field, battered by seasons. Winter strips its branches bare. Storms lash against its trunk. Yet, year after year, it remains rooted. Its very survival becomes a message. I have endured. That is what your life speaks. Even without words. There was once a man who lost nearly everything he valued: his job, his health, his closest relationships. Many whispered that he would not survive such a collapse. Yet in time, he rose with a deeper wisdom, a gentler heart, and a resilience that inspired all who had doubted him. People asked, "How did you keep going?" He simply replied, "God carried me when I could not carry myself." That is the essence of the weight of glory. It is not self-made. It is God-sustained. The Apostle Paul captures this mystery in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 18. "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. This is the truth reflected in you. The world may only see the suffering, but heaven already sees the glory forming beneath it. Your endurance becomes a kind of unspoken sermon. Those who see you notice that you are not broken the way others might be. They wonder, how can she still smile? How can he still believe? What they do not realize is that your strength is not borrowed from this world. It flows from a source beyond their comprehension. Imagine carrying a vessel filled with light through a tunnel of darkness. The journey is long. The obstacles are heavy. But with every step, the vessel glows brighter. By the time you reach the end, the darkness has left no mark upon the light. That is your testimony. The weight you carried became the very thing that refined your glow. And here lies a secret. The more you endure, the more visible your authority becomes. People may not always applaud, but they cannot ignore the evidence. They see in you a living example of survival that is greater than human willpower. They see grace clothed in flesh. Do not underestimate what your resilience communicates. It is not just about you. It is also about those watching silently from the sidelines. Your refusal to quit has kept others from giving up. Your survival has birthed hope in hearts that were ready to surrender. So carry the weight of glory without shame. It is not a burden meant to crush you. It is a crown forming through every hardship, a testimony etched into your life, declaring to the world that God's strength is perfected in weakness. And let every scar remind you, what once tried to bury you has only crowned you. The world sees struggle, but heaven sees victory, shining through the life of a chosen one. There is something extraordinary about the way even your smallest actions echo louder than you realize. When people look at you, they often feel as if your life carries meaning beyond its surface. A simple word from you becomes memorable. A small gesture leaves a mark. To them, it is as though your life is amplified. This is the realm of signs and wonders, not always in the form of dramatic miracles, but in subtle, holy ripples that follow you wherever you go. You may give someone a kind glance, and suddenly their spirit feels lifted. You may offer a word of encouragement, and that word becomes the spark that keeps them from quitting. To you, it seems small. To them, it feels divine. It is like tossing a stone into a still pond. The ripple expands far beyond the point of impact. You might not see how far it travels, but the water remembers in the same way. Your words, your presence, your faith leave circles of impact that reach further than you imagine. I once knew a young man who struggled deeply with despair. One day, someone smiled at him and said, "I believe you'll make it through this." That small phrase echoed in his mind for months. Later, he testified that it saved his life. The one who spoke it never even knew the power of what they had done. That is the kind of weight you carry without realizing it. The prophet Habakkuk reminds us in chapter 1, verse 5, "Look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told." That is the reality people sense when they look at you. You are living evidence that God can do surprising, unbelievable things through ordinary vessels. Your presence itself becomes a sign. It reminds others that God is still moving. It tells them that if He can sustain you, He can sustain them. Without speaking, you become a wonder, a walking testimony that light still overcomes darkness. This is why you must never dismiss the little things. The way you endure hardship with grace. The way you offer kindness when no one else does. The way you keep believing when others have given up. All of these are wonders to those watching. They may not tell you, but your life preaches louder than sermons. Think of a candle placed in a dark room. It does not roar like fire. It does not shake the walls, but it changes the atmosphere completely. That is you. What feels small in your hand is mighty in the eyes of those who behold it. And so, chosen one, recognize the sacred weight you carry. Do not underestimate the holy ripples of your life. Even when you feel invisible, heaven is making you a signpost, pointing others back to the one who called you. If this speaks to your spirit, mark it with a prophetic act. Comment the number 888 below, not as a ritual, but as an agreement that you receive the truth of being a living sign and wonder. Let it be your declaration that your life will continue to echo with divine purpose. Because when people look at you, they see more than a life unfolding. They see God writing messages through you that will outlive the moment. There are moments when people look at you and, without understanding why, they feel as though they are staring into something eternal. It is not about physical beauty, nor the way you present yourself outwardly. It is the sense of destiny that radiates from your life. The impression that you are connected to something larger than time itself. This is what I call the echo of eternity. When you walk into a room, people sometimes pause. They cannot put language to it. But there is a weight that surrounds you. They sense that your story is tied to a greater story, that your life carries chapters not yet written but already foretold. It is as if the sound of tomorrow reverberates faintly in your presence today. Imagine standing at the edge of a canyon. You shout a single word, and long after you fall silent, the echo continues, bouncing from wall to wall. That is the effect your life has on others. Your decisions, your words, your faith. These things carry echoes far beyond the moment. People encounter you, and something in them is stirred, even if they cannot name it. I once met a woman who carried this kind of presence. She worked quietly in her community, never seeking attention, never chasing applause. Yet every person who encountered her walked away saying the same thing. I feel like I was meant for more. She never preached, never demanded. Her very life was a reminder that eternity is real and destiny is calling. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 139, verse 16. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. That verse explains the mystery others feel when they look at you. They are sensing the unseen book of destiny that God has already written over your life. This is why some are drawn to you. They see hope for their own future reflected in your eyes. Others, however, feel unsettled. To them, you are a reminder of choices they have delayed or dreams they have buried. Either way, no one can ignore the echo. You are like a clock tower in the center of a silent town. Even when no one pays attention, its chime rings out, reminding everyone that time is moving, that destiny is unfolding. People may go about their daily lives, but when they pass you, they are reminded of eternity, ticking quietly in the background. The echo of eternity in your life is not only about the future, it is also about the present. It points people to the reality that their lives matter, that every decision counts, that nothing is wasted. You become a living reminder that God is weaving together moments with eternal significance. Do not be surprised. Then, if some people feel both hope and conviction in your presence, this dual response is not about you being confusing, it is about eternity whispering through your life. So walk with confidence. Chosen one, you are not only carrying your own story, you are carrying hints of the story to come. You are the sound of tomorrow echoing in today. And those who look at you cannot help but feel it, that life is bigger than they thought, and eternity is nearer than they imagined. There are times when hostility rises against you without clear cause. You search for reasons, but they seem too shallow to explain the intensity. People turn cold. Doors close abruptly. Whispers circulate. And yet, deep down, you sense it is not simply about personalities or misunderstandings. It is because you are marked for battle. From the moment you were chosen, your life entered a war that many around you do not even perceive. To them, the resistance seems random, but to you it is recurring. Patterns of opposition follow you, especially when you step closer to your calling. This is not coincidence, it is warfare. Think of David again. Before the crown touched his head, he faced lions, bears, and finally a giant. Each battle was a declaration. This one is chosen, and therefore contested. That is why enemies rise against you without invitation. Darkness does not waste energy on those who pose no threat. The very resistance you face is evidence of your significance. I once heard the story of a young woman who tried for years to live unnoticed. She did not seek leadership. She did not crave attention. And yet trouble seemed to find her. Unjust accusations, strange jealousy, sudden betrayals. At first, she thought she was cursed. Later, she realized she was marked. She carried a destiny so bright that opposition was inevitable. What looked like constant attack was in fact a constant confirmation. The prophet Nahum wrote in chapter 1, verse 7, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him." That verse anchors you in the middle of battle. The same God who allowed you to be marked also surrounds you with protection. You are like a fortress on a hill. Armies may march against it, Arrows may strike its walls, but the fortress remains because it was built on rock. Enemies reveal themselves not because the fortress is weak, but because it is valuable. In the same way, opposition proves your worth. Understand this. Chosen one, your life is not defined by the battles you face, but by the victories you carry through them. Each struggle is a stage, and each victory is a banner lifted high. Others may wonder why you endure so much pressure, but you already know. Your calling attracts both destiny and resistance. Do not despise the attacks. Do not shrink under the accusations. Instead, see them for what they are: confirmation that you are dangerous to darkness. You are not hunted because you are weak. You are hunted because you are a carrier of light. Imagine a torchbearer running through a field at night. The torch does not ask for enemies. Yet every creature of darkness notices it. Some flee from it. Others try to extinguish it. But still, the runner presses on. Fire in hand, light in motion. That is your life. Yes, you are marked for battle, but you are also marked for victory. The same seal that paints a target on your back also places a crown upon your head. The same mark that draws the fight is the one that guarantees the triumph. So lift your head in the face of opposition. The rising of enemies is not your downfall, it is your announcement. They rise because heaven has declared, "This one is chosen," and no matter how fierce the battle, the mark of God on your life ensures that victory already belongs to you. There are rare moments when the veil lifts, and people around you catch a glimpse of something greater upon your life. They may not understand it fully, but they sense it, the outline of royalty resting on your shoulders. This is the revelation of your crown, even if unseen in the natural. Heaven has already placed it upon you. This is why your presence often shifts the atmosphere. To some, you look ordinary, but in the Spirit, you are clothed in garments of destiny. You walk carrying the fragrance of kingship, the dignity of someone chosen, the majesty of one set apart. They may not articulate it, but they feel it. When you speak, it resonates differently. When you move, it carries weight. When you remain silent, even your silence has authority. Think of a prince raised in exile. To those around him, he appears as a commoner. Yet, deep within, his bearing betrays him. Even without the throne, his walk reveals heritage. That is you. Even in seasons of obscurity, the crown glimmers faintly, seen in glimpses by those who encounter you. The Apostle Peter writes in his first letter, chapter 2, verse 9, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, to declare his praises." This is the truth etched into your life. You carry royalty, not as decoration, but as identity. I once knew a man who struggled to believe he was chosen. He lived quietly, overlooked, until one day a stranger told him, "There is authority in your eyes." He realized then that others could see what he had long ignored. His crown was invisible to himself, yet undeniable to those who recognize the glow. Your crown is not meant to elevate you above others in pride. It is meant to remind the world of God's glory. It does not speak of superiority, but of assignment. It shines as a beacon, calling others toward the same light. That is why glimpses of your royalty stir so many different responses. Some are drawn with awe, others with envy, but all are touched by it. You are like a cathedral standing in the middle of a crowded city. Passers-by may not enter, may not even fully understand its design. Yet they feel a sense of reverence when they walk past. Its towers point silently to heaven. In the same way, your life quietly points upward. And here is the invitation. You do not need to force people to recognize your crown. It is already there. Your only task is to keep walking with dignity, humility, and faith, allowing heaven's radiance to shine through you. So let your response be gentle yet powerful. Like this message as if you were polishing the crown already on your head. Share it as though you were extending the shine of your crown to someone who has forgotten theirs. Subscribe as if you were stepping into a royal procession, choosing to walk among others who also wear unseen crowns. And in the comments, write simply, "I choose my crown." Oh, for when they look at you, they are not only seeing a person, they are seeing a glimpse of heaven's royalty on earth. And when you embrace that truth, your crown does not just rest, it shines, guiding others to discover theirs. And every time it shines brighter, it whispers of the kingdom you carry within. The world sees you, but eternity sees a ruler rising, crowned in grace and unshakable purpose. There is a peculiar wonder that unfolds when storms come into your life. Others expect your light to flicker, to fade, to be swallowed by the darkness, pressing in, and yet, each time, you emerge even brighter. This is the paradox that baffles those who watch you, your unshakable light. They have seen you endure disappointments that would have silenced many. They have seen betrayals that could have broken another's spirit. They have watched losses fall heavy on your shoulders. But still, there you stand, not only enduring, but radiating a strength that grows sharper in adversity. To them, it feels almost unnatural. This is the essence of divine resilience. Light that is born of heaven cannot be quenched by earthly storms. Rain may fall, winds may howl, yet the flame only bends, never breaks. It is as if the storm itself becomes fuel, stoking the fire within you. Imagine a lamp burning in an ancient temple. Centuries pass. Empires rise and fall, yet the flame continues, protected by unseen hands. That is what your life represents. People look at you and realize that you are not burning on your own oil. There is a greater source sustaining you, one that does not run dry. I once heard of a man who lost nearly everything: family, wealth, and health. Many assumed he would collapse into despair, but each time they saw him, they were startled by his calm strength. His response was simple: "My hope was never built on what I lost, but on who I cannot lose." Those words lingered with me, because they reveal the truth of the unshakable light. You are sustained by something no storm can touch. The letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 28, proclaims, "Since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and worship God reverently." That verse explains what people see in you. They see evidence of an unshakable kingdom flickering within your spirit, a stability that does not crumble when the world trembles. Your unshakable light unsettles some. They cannot comprehend how you still smile, how you still believe, how you still stand. To them, endurance should equal exhaustion, but to you, endurance equals transformation. Each storm strips away what is temporary and sharpens what is eternal. You are like a lighthouse battered by waves. Storm after storm crashes against it, But the light at the top continues to sweep across the sea, guiding lost ships to safety. The storm does not silence the light, it only proves its necessity. This is why your trials carry significance beyond yourself. Others are watching. Some hope you will fail, while others desperately hope you will not. When you remain steady, when your light refuses to fade, you preach without words. You declare to every eye upon you, there is a strength beyond human strength. There is a hope that outlasts the storm. Now, and so, chosen one, carry your unshakable light boldly. Do not despise the storms, for they reveal your radiance more than calm seasons ever could. Do not question why people stare. It is because they are witnessing something they long for but cannot explain. When people look at you, they see living evidence that even in the fiercest winds, heaven's fire does not go out, and that truth, more than anything you could say, becomes the testimony that sets hearts ablaze with hope. At last, we come to the heart of what others truly see when their eyes rest upon you. It is not only the mystery of your aura, not only the resilience of your journey, not even the quiet authority you carry. Beneath all of these, they are glimpsing something far greater, the glory of God shining through His chosen vessel. When they look at you, they may not always understand what they feel. Some describe it as peace, others as intensity, and still others as a kind of fire in your presence. But deep down, what they are sensing is not you in isolation. It is the imprint of the one who made you, the reflection of heaven clothed in humanity. Imagine stained glass in a cathedral. On its own, the glass looks ordinary, a mixture of colors and shapes. But when light passes through, it transforms into breathtaking beauty. That is your life. People may see fragments, scars, colors, and imperfections. But when the light of God shines through you, they see something divine. They do not always know how to name it, but they feel the sacred weight of it. This is why you unsettle some and inspire others. Your life is not neutral. It confronts, it uplifts, it convicts, it heals. Without words, your very presence testifies. There is more to this life than what we see. You are walking evidence of eternity, touching time. I remember a woman who once told me, "Every time I look at you, I feel like I am closer to God." That statement carried no flattery. It was simply truth. She wasn't glorifying the person she saw. She was recognizing the reflection of God within. And this is what your life whispers to others, that heaven is nearer than they ever imagined. The Apostle Paul writes in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 18, "And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit." That is the final mystery others perceive when they look at you. They see not only who you are, but who you are becoming, the unfolding image of Christ reflected in your humanity. You are like a torch carried through the night. To wanderers, it is hope. To enemies, it is threat. But to all who see, it is undeniable. The light cannot be hidden, and the one carrying it cannot be mistaken. This is why your life matters so profoundly. It is not only about your own journey of faith, it is about the testimony written across your being. Every scar turned into wisdom, every battle turned into resilience, every valley turned into growth. All of it adds layers of radiance that others notice. Even when you feel ordinary, chosen one. This is the truth. When they look at you, they see more than flesh and bone. They see purpose written in your steps, heaven's light flickering in your eyes, and divine glory woven into your story. And though you may never fully understand the depth of it yourself, this is the impact you carry. You are a glimpse of God's heart on earth. And each time your light shines, it reminds the world of eternity's nearness. You are not simply living, you are revealing. You are not simply surviving, you are declaring. In you, heaven's reflection walks among men. Chosen one. This journey through every word has been a mirror, reminding you of who you are. You are not ordinary. You are marked, crowned, and set apart. Your very existence is living evidence that heaven's light still burns on the earth. Every trial, every scar, every victory, they have not weakened you. They have refined you. What others see as survival, heaven calls glory. When they look at you, they do not only see a person, they see a flame, a crown, a living testimony that hope is alive. And now, let your response become a sacred act. Like this message as if you are sealing your agreement with the light inside you. Share it as though you are passing a torch into the hands of another wanderer still searching in the dark. Subscribe as a declaration that you are choosing to walk among a community of chosen ones, carrying fire together. And in the comments, write, "I embrace my calling." Let it be your declaration to heaven and earth that you will not hide the crown you carry. No storm can silence the flame God has set within you. And every time you shine, the world is reminded that eternity is closer than they ever imagined.